Hi, grade 6 and 7. Welcome to our fourth session of music this term. Today, we're not going to be doing anything new because we've done quite a bit of stuff this half of term. So, for our musical historians, which is everybody, including my guitarists, we've looked at four composers. We've looked at Edvard Grieg, Rafe Van Williams, and Aaron Copland. So make sure you know all the pieces that we've looked at from each of those composers. We've done 4 pieces for each composer. So make sure you understand the origins of that piece, why that piece was written. Make sure you know the background of the composer, which country he came from, why he wanted to compose those pieces, what was the meaning behind the pieces. Some had deeper meanings than others. Some had reasons that they were composed. Some belonged to plays. Some were just a showcase of style and ability. Some were dedicated to people. So make sure you understand why the piece was composed, who was the composer, and what they were trying to bring out from that piece, all right? We don't just want simple answers of the composer wrote the piece because he thought it sounded nice. That's not why he composed the piece, and that's a shoddy answer. We don't want shoddy answers. We want answers that are well thought of and that have a bit of reasoning in them, okay? So be able to understand that. So for my musical historians, make sure you know all 3 composers and the pieces they wrote and why they wrote them. You will be getting the full test, which means you have to understand each of the composers, okay? For my guitarists, you still need to understand the composers we've looked at this term, but you'll get a slightly different test. I will want you to just have one composer in your mind. Make sure you study at least one composer really well. You don't have to know all 3 because there's a bit of other work that you need to do for your guitar. So just to help balance things out. So you'll get a slightly different test than the people who'll be doing the full music history test, okay? So for my guitarists, I want you to be able to play at least 2 of the themes we've done this half of term. Either the James Bond theme, the Mission Impossible theme, or Indiana Jones. You have to pick at least 2, okay? Just 2. Not 1, 2. And for the pieces which have both rhythm and lead, make sure you know how to play both the rhythm and lead. So that is for Mission Impossible and Indiana Jones. Those both have rhythm and lead. If you choose to do the James Bond, there's no rhythm in it, so you just have to be able to play the full lead line according to its arrangement, okay? So make sure you practice it hard, make sure you don't dilly-dally or waste time, and please don't play wrong notes. The last thing I want is to call someone up and ask them to play for me 2 of the themes that they've done this term, and they play just random notes that are not even from the piece. It's really not impressive, and it's not a good thing to do because that shows that you haven't been doing anything. That shows you haven't been practicing, and we don't want to see that. So please make sure you practice your pieces really well. You spend time with them. You know where the notes are, and that you can be able to nail it, all right? Because this is what makes you a good guitarist, and it's really fun stuff, especially when you get to show people that, hey, I can play the James Bond theme. So if the movie comes along, you whip out your guitar and you're going dum dun 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 dun. It's just really fun to do, okay? So for my guitarists, you're going to need to be able to play at least 2 of the themes we've looked at this half of term, and pick one composer that you will study in depth. Okay, because you'll get a slightly different test from everyone else. For my musical historians, make sure you look at all 3 composers, know the pieces, and know the backgrounds for everything that we've looked at for those composers, okay? So that's pretty much it. Make sure you spend your time well, make sure you spend your time revising, and also having fun listening to the music, listening to the pieces, having fun understanding and being a bit curious as to some of these composers, understanding some of the reasons that they composed the pieces they did, and even just to who they were, why were they like this, what were their characteristics. Spend that time. It's really valuable and adds a lot to you, especially later on, because these things stick with you. Whenever you learn about people, who they were sticks with you, okay? So grade 6 and 7, that's it. Musical historians, all 3 composers. Guitarists, 1 composer and 2 themes. All right? No excuses. Guitarists, you still have that 1 composer that I'll be assessing you on. All right, grade 6 and 7, spend time having fun this week. Have fun revising. Revising should be fun, not a burdensome task. That's all from me, grade 6 and 7. See you next week.